Well, ladies and gentlemen, the very sight of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Bharat Ratna Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, instills a sense of hope in all of us. You would all agree. I will not take much time. Please put your hands together with a huge round of applause. Let's all welcome Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam for his inaugural address.
Friends, good morning to all of you. And the last speaker, still you are smiling. First of all, I would like to greet and congratulate Karnataka for bringing to our country the IT revolution. And it is on and on. Definitely, it will not stop at IT revolution. It will go into multiple fields. That's my topic I'm going to talk to you, friends. Now, I would like to greet Honorable Chief Minister Sadananda Gowda-ji and Murugesh Nurani ji, Industry Minister, and my friends S. Gopalakrishnan and Sri Chandrasekhar, M.N. Vidyashankar, J. Parthasarathy, and all of you friends from different organizations, and particularly delegation from Bihar, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu. Friends, indeed, I am delighted to participate in Bangalore IT Base 2011 here in Bangalore, organized by Department of IT, Biotechnology and the S&T Government of Karnataka and Software Technology Park of India, Bangalore. My greetings to the organizers, industrialists, professionals, students and other distinguished present here. Present in the friends, in the past decade, India has seen many innovations who have revolutionized, ushered in product and services in a cost-effective manner. Few years ago, we saw in the automobile industry seeing a new design which ensured the products meet the budget of the millions of families. Most probably it was an Indian company which pioneered the development and marketing of the most cost-effective car in the world, the Nano. We also know the innovation. We also know the innovation of low-cost mobile phones, which has penetrated deep into the Indian markets and cut across the economic and professional groups. Further, this year, a few weeks ago, India launched the low-cost touchpad device especially designed for the students. Priced at about 1200, the Akash computer is heralded to another era which India will also pioneer the low-cost, high-access internet-enabled devices in near future. I see the next IT revolution similar to the mobile telephony may be such internet-enabled devices spreading across urban and rural areas, promoting e-commerce at grassroots levels, rapid knowledge exchange in way of city to city, city to village, village to city and village to village modes. Recently, last week, I was in the Harvard University where I visited the Harvard Innovation Laboratory. There I came across an engineering and a physics student together working on a system which can deliver high quality cable television services which can work across the diverse bandwidths of internet connections. Similarly, in Ahmedabad, I came across the National Innovation Foundation, which is doing a great work in showcasing the best grassroots innovation over the internet as an open source knowledge database. There are already many sites which are offering free multimedia based learning tools. I see the internet penetration in the nation which enables such collateral benefits of low cost cable television and open source knowledge research to the common citizen. The reason I am telling you this innovation is highlight two important elements of innovation in Indian context. It is being cost effective, at the same time efficient, and then it should be able to spur productive and educational activity for the masses, especially children, women and senior citizens of the nation. IT industry in the last few decades have given a pride of place for India in the world, as you all just now talked. Among the many contributions it has done, what I would rate as the most significant is the confidence it has given to many young people, many youth. Is the confidence it has given to the many youth in entrepreneurship. Now the question next is saturation should not take place. Since saturation of mind is the most dangerous phenomena against progress. The industry has to compete with itself and deliver excellence. IT, with its unlimited potential in every facet of human endeavor, offers opportunities and challenges, be it in the research, development, social sciences, governance, or individual growth in this context. I would like to share a few thoughts, quite different from normal thing. I am going to say something else. IT industry graduating towards knowledge system powerhouse. IT industry graduating towards knowledge system powerhouse. Next 15 minutes I am going to talk to you friends. Friends, you all know the well-known formula. There is a formula which says economic development of the nation is powered by competitiveness. Competitiveness is powered by knowledge. Knowledge is powered by technology and innovation. Of course, technology innovation is powered by timely resource investment. That's only political system comes in a big way. Now a unique situation emerging in the IT industry, it is not how many people working in the software and hardware, or even how many IT parks have been created in the nation. What matters? Really what matters most is how many system designers, how many system integrators, how many system managers are working in IT industry. I visualize that IT enterprises and the Indian Academic Research Institution evolving a new type of creative personnel, and they are having the capacity to become the knowledge system powerhouse instead of software engineers or hardware engineers or marketing piecemeal software or hardware or marketing the human power. In this context, it is indeed refreshing to know that the Karnataka government is bringing together IT industry, biotechnology industry in a common forum like IT.biz 2011. As you are all aware, the new decade starting from 2011 to 2020, Indian technology enterprise team have to face the challenge of the convergence of technology, and for that reason I used the phrase knowledge system powerhouse, where convergence of multiple technologies leads to national economic development. Let me talk about the convergence of technology. The information technology, as you all know, and communication technology have already converged, leading to information communication technology, ICT. The information technology combined with biotechnology, as you know, has led to the bioinformatics. Similarly, photonics is grown out from the laboratories to converge with classical electronics and microelectronics to bring in new high-speed options in consumer products like flexible and unbreakable displays using thin layer of film on transparent polymers have emerged as a new symbol of entertainment and media tools. Now nanotechnology has come in. It is the field of the future that will replace microelectronics, I believe, and many fields with a tremendous application potential in the areas of medicine, electronic material science. I am sure about the use of nanorobot for drug delivery. When nanotechnology and ICT meet, integrated silicon electronics, photonics are born, and it can be said that material convergence will happen. With material convergence and biotechnology linked, a new science called intelligent bioscience will be born, which would lead to a disease-free, happy and more intelligent human habitat with longevity and high human capacities. Convergence of bio-nano-info technologies can lead to development of nanorobots for multiple applications. Now, nanorobots, when they are injected, I saw in one of the laboratories abroad, when the nanorobots, when they are injected into a patient, my expert friends say nanorobots made out of nanobioinfo. All the three systems getting in. Nanorobots, when they are injected into a patient, my expert friends say it will diagnose and deliver the treatment exclusively in the affected area, and then the nanorobot gets digested as it's a DNA-based product. I saw the product sample in one of the laboratory South Korea, where best of minds with multiple technology work with the target of finding out the out-of-box solution. Now, friends, I am going to share with you one recent experience. That is, convergence of science is reciprocating. Let me give an example. Recently, I was in the Harvard University, where I visited laboratories of many eminent professors from the Harvard School of Engineering and Applied Science. They don't call it School of Engineering, they call it Engineering Applied Science. I recall how Professor Hong Park showed me his invention of nano needles, which can pierce and deliver content into individual targeted cells, human cells. That is how nanoparticle sciences in shaping into biosciences. Then I met Professor Vinod Manoharan in Harvard, who showed, on the other hand, biosciences in turn shaping nanomaterial science as well. He is using DNA material to design self-assembling particles. When particular type of DNA is applied on a particle at the atomic level, he is able to generate a prefixed behavior and automatic assembly from them. This could be our answer to self-assembly of devices and colonies in deep space without human intervention, as envisioned by Dr. K. Eric Texler. Thus, within a single research building, I saw how two different sciences are shaping each other without any iron curtain between the technologies. This reciprocating contribution of sciences to one another is going to shape our future, and industry needs to be ready for it. Friends, are you ready to bring down the iron curtain existing between various technological groups? This is a real question. Wherever you go for research institution, there are many groups, but I saw recently how it can be broken. Now a new trend is emerging. The aspect being introduced is that ecology, as Dr. Gopalakrishnan said, globally the demand is shifting towards development of sustainable systems which are technologically superior. This is the new dimension of 21st century knowledge society, where science, technology and environment will have to go together. Thus the new age model would be four-dimensional. So far I was talking three-dimensional, bio, info, nano, but it has to be four-dimensional, bio, nano, info, eco-based. I would like to say to all the stakeholders assembled here, including policymakers, you get ready for such a multi-dimensional revolution which will shape the future of humanity. Also, it can be remembered, India has got a big dream to have IT business of $200 billion within this decade, and all the more. Friends, you need to be geared to address such a dynamic technological environment. Let us see another dimension of technology. In the 20th century, most nations understood that science and technology were the best vehicle for economic upliftment. However, the problems that SMT used to solve have been primarily local and customized to their needs. Today, the problem faced by the nation are no longer a concern of the